Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to it's a new call. It's called Testimonial Tuesdays. We have a new format, and we are really excited. We tried it last week for the first time, and we're fine-tuning things, and we're going to get better and better and better. I am your host this evening, Robin Blanc Mascari, and we have our special guest, Ann Moreau, that's going to join us in a little bit. And how this is going to work. What we want to do is we want to hear your testimonials. And so the first 10-15 minutes we'll have you share. And if you have a testimonial you want to share, please raise your hand and then I will promote you so you can share your testimonial and get a bunch of them going. I see a bunch of hands coming up. Great. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A. So with your testimonial, you want to be prepared, you want to be brief, and you want to be compliant. And compliant means you only share symptoms, no naming of any dis-ease at all, what it was like before, what patch you used, and let's keep it mostly to X39. That would be wonderful. And then what limitations were liberated or what it's like now. So we're going to get things rolling, and we'd love to have more hands up. We want to have a bunch of you sharing this evening. And we've got some questions already in the chat. All right, things are off to a roll here. Let's see. I also want to mention that, now I'm just going to jump in. We'll just jump in. And we're going to start off with Susan. And Susan, I'm going to actually promote you to a panelist so you can speak. And if you want to put your camera on, you're able to do that. You should be available, and you want to, there she is. Yay, thanks for being first tonight. Okay. And you're on mute, hon. You want to unmute your line?
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Feels to be less than a minute. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Susan, to get the ball rolling.
Thank you, I'm Susan Swayze from Northwest Arkansas, and I have two quick ones. One is a lady that's only been on the X39 patches for 2 weeks who has had severe problems with her neck for years that we call those funny things that happens with them back here. And she's been able to turn her head further and further every day with very little pain after years of having it.
Beautiful.
2 weeks on the X39.
Wow.
The other is my business partner and something else that I do with animals. And in the last year, he has gained an inch. So he's now 6'1". He's a cowboy. He is a cowboy, but he's an ex-bull rider, bullfighter. So he had severe problems with knees and possibly have that surgery that you had. And he doesn't have to have it now. His knees no longer hurt. And he's getting hair back in the top of his head. So there you have it, folks. Take it away.
Oh, you did a great job, Susan. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
I love it. And the reason we're doing these, and you can put your camera off, and thank you, thank you, thank you. The reason we're doing these testimonials, and I hope you brought guests, is because this is what inspires people to want to try this. And when they hear these amazing stories. And so we have Darlene next, and then Kathy will go after Darlene. And you should be available to unmute your mic and put your camera on, Darlene. Oh, okay. Where are you? It says you're rejoining. There you are. Are you coming on? Hi.
Hi. You can hear me now?
Yeah, you want to put your volume up a little bit? No, you sound pretty good. Go ahead.
Okay. My story is about my husband. About 14 years ago, he was diagnosed with an eye condition where fluid builds up in the back of your eye. And they give you shots inside your eyeball to dry up that liquid. It's not even fun to watch. And every 8 weeks, he would get a shot in his eye for 11 years. And then we found out about the patches and started wearing the patches. And we went in for an appointment after 3 months of wearing the patch. And the doctor says, oh my gosh, you don't need a shot. And long story short, it's been 3.5 years since he's had to get a shot in his eye. His
Wow.
vision is great. We love X39 because the only patch that we wore for the first year was just X39. It's done lots of great things for us, but that was probably the most significant one.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And notice it was brief. It was what it was like before, what they did, and now what it is. So lovely, lovely, lovely. You guys are getting great. Thank you, Darlene. So let's take our next guest, and please raise your hand when you're ready to do a testimonial. We want to get a few more people on here. So I see Jim, I see Barbara Larrabee. I know you guys have some great stories. Why don't you put your hands up so I can call on you? Dr. Pam, always wonderful to have you. So let's see who's next here. And then we're going to go Kathy, then Jennifer. Okay, so put your camera on and unmute your line and share your story, Kathy. I know she's here. Come on, Kathy. Okay. We're not seeing you, Kathy. You're here as a panelist. You need to unmute your line and put your camera on. Okay, there she is. Good job. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, I can't see you. Can you see me?
We can see you.
Amazing. Well, I would just like to say that after using X39 for a year, I discovered that the yellow stuff that floats around in the air and causes headaches and sneezing and burning eyes, I haven't had that this year. And I thought it was because the seasons were all messed up with the weather and that spring was starting later. And then I read in our local newspaper, it was the worst season in decades, and I haven't had any issues. So.
Whoa, that's wonderful.
That's
you.
wonderful.
That's really wonderful. You save up on tissues, huh?
Yeah.
Among other things. Great. Thank you, Kathy.
All right.
You're doing great. Okay, we're going to go to Jennifer and then Barbara. I'm going to put your camera off and your mute on. That would be great. You guys are doing really well. We're getting this down. I'm so happy. Okay, let's see. Jennifer, you should be able to unmute your line. Okay. And Kathy, you can turn yours off. We're getting this down, guys. All right. Let's see here. We don't see Jennifer yet. She's got to accept being a panelist. So I'm going to move to Barbara and then we'll come back to you, Jennifer, okay? All right. Barbara.
Barbara says she's not a panelist yet.
Well, I made her one, so she should be. Thank you for watching that. Oh, there she is. Hello, gorgeous.
Hi, everyone. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share this because my experience, like so many, was really profound. The first day, I had a tremendous experience. Not everybody gets it on the first day, but I had pain in the right side of my neck for over 3 years. And just that very first day, I was able to see that pain release. It just left. And previously, I hadn't been able to even turn my head to the right or look over my shoulder in the car. But the most important one was that when I started the X39 patch, I actually had trouble with my kidneys. My kidneys were failing and really very close to going on dialysis. A nurse just recently told me I was pretty close to that. And so it took 14 months, but over time, my kidney numbers were getting better all the time. And now my kidneys are completely functioning normally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's an amazing story. It's totally amazing. And, I remember when my doctor said to me, well, you can't reverse that condition of. And I said, doctor, in all due respect, in your world, you can't, but in my world, we can. And you did it.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Let's see, we have someone else in the queue here, and we'll take one or two more. So Jennifer, let's try you again. See if you can become a panelist. I keep promoting you. You have to accept it. It should show up on your screen. All right, I'm not seeing you showing up. All right, well, what we're going to do, I'm going to share my story, and then we're going to introduce our special guest this evening. And I want to thank you guys for sharing your stories. And please do come prepared. Practicing doing your stories is one of the most, the better your stories, the better storyteller you are. And the more stories you tell, the more money you're going to make. It's really that simple. We are professional storytellers, and there's a ratio. The quality of the story times the quantity of the story equals your income. So that's a little clue. And I like to say to people that most all of you are here because of my left knee. And most of you know this story, but I had a very challenging knee replacement on my right knee and needed another one. I was bone on bone in severe pain for a very long time. And I had a really bad experience, and I started researching stem cells, and was ready to, fork out $12,500 for a single injection with no guarantee when a friend called and said, there's a new technology that activates your own stem cells with your body's light. And I went, how fast can I get it? Well, I put it on the top of my spine, and a week later, my knee pain was gone. And now all of you are here. So thank you. And I felt a sense, I couldn't not share. I started as a customer. I couldn't not share, but then it did turn into a sense of responsibility to let people know about this amazing technology. And now we have this incredible community all over the world, which is thrilling to me. So what I get to do this evening is introduce our special guest, and that is Ann Moreau. She is a nurse of 45 plus years, nutritionist, educator, lover of community, lover of healthy food, just loves educating people that healthy food can be delicious, and does wonderful gatherings in her home once a month. And she's built an amazing team. She's one of our top leaders, and we love, 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 love her. And so welcome, Ann.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that, Robin.
Well,
and I'm happy to be here. I love hearing the wonderful stories. It's so powerful. I just, I'm listening to people share. And as I'm sitting here, I'm getting a text message. And this text message says, hi, ladies and gent. I wanted to share with you, Andrea, after you told me today that your arthritic, possibly, knuckle was looking better. I called my mother to ask her about her fingers. She said she hadn't noticed a change, but then she made a fist, and she said there was a noticeable difference in how tight she could make her fist and hold her grip. She was ecstatic. Thanks so much, she writes.
oh,
So it's always amazing that we don't always pay attention to those little things that are happening to our body over time. And then all of a sudden we sort of go, oh, I can do this. I wasn't able to do this before, That's kind of the story here that was shared. Pretty powerful.
it's so wonderful. And we recommend everyone start your journey with X39 with the health tracker and do a really good baseline. So what do you say to people when they're getting started about getting a baseline?
Well, I always encourage them to use the stem cell patch X39 and take the tracker, check off where are you today, right now. In 24 hours from now, after you've used the stem cell patch for 24 hours, go back and see, have you noticed any particular change? And then keep track of the next 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. You really want to give it at least 90 days, if not 6 months. I mean, I've had people who have had issues for a long, long, long time, and they really didn't see results until their 4th month, their 6th month. So everyone is very different. I had a lady that comes to dinner here who initially kept saying, I'm not noticing anything. I'm not noticing anything. She kept saying that. And then one day she said, oh my God, I went to the eye doctor today and my vision has improved, and she was like, where'd that come from? And then she said, I'm noticing my nails are growing longer and my hair is thicker. There's all these little things happening. And then in month 4, she comes over and she says, guess what? The one thing I was waiting for happened. My shoulder's not hurting me anymore. I can raise my hands over my head, so she was really, really excited. So we just have to be patient and give it time, because the body has this innate ability to heal things internally, but sometimes the repair needs to be done inside to our major organs first. And our innate system is going to go do that first. And then we'll start to repair other areas of the body. And that can take time. And if the more damage there is, the longer it's going to take.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I like to be conservative on expectations, even though some people notice something right away. And our founder, David Schmidt, says, 75% of people notice something in the first 24 hours. It may not be what you want, but they notice something. It could be, more energy, mental clarity, mobility. It's different. But then over time, like Anne says, it's cumulative and it gets better and better and better. And so really take the time to journal. I mean, I had no idea. And sharing stories is such an important way, because on one of our calls, someone said my crooked finger straightened out. And I went, oh, I got one of those. If you've been around a while, most of us have one of those. And it was stuck like this for 20. And like, oh my gosh, look what it can do. Who would have known that there's so many wonderful little surprises that happen. So Anne, would you share a little bit about how people can get the maximum benefit out of utilizing this technology?
Absolutely. So obviously we want to wear the patches 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And I tell people, if you have to develop a habit, right? Because this is a new habit when you start using the stem cell patch. So some people, I tell them, put it by your toothbrush in the morning, so you'll remember to put the patches on then, and then take them off at night. Some people put like an alarm on their phone to help remind them. Drinking water, very important. You want to drink water about half the amount, your body weight. Take your body weight in half, and that is the amount of ounces of water you should be drinking a day to stay hydrated. Most people are so dehydrated today, and drinking water is really important to help to move the energy, the light energy. We have low light energy in our body, and when that low light energy gets blocked, we don't heal and repair as well. So drinking water is going to help that process, moving things, lymphatics and other things moving through. And the other thing you want to do is to be very consistent with the use of your patches. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day who was saying, well, some days I put it on, some days I don't, then I hurt, and then this and that. And I'm like, well, if you were consistent wearing these patches, you would see consistent changes occurring, and you would continue to get better and better instead of being on and off, which doesn't really work well, right? So you have to be consistent.
Okay, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, hydration and consistency. Peel and stick. We could all do it, right? It's
Absolutely.
one of the,
Easy.
and because it says 12 hours on, 12 hours off, it's sometimes we forget. And so some people like to set their alarm on their phone, 7 and 7, 8 and 8, 9 and 9, 10 and 10, whatever fits for your schedule to change your patches. It's kind of funny when we walk around with our nighttime patches during the morning, but hey, it works. Okay.
I tell people, don't get, so concerned about, oh, it's got to be the 12 hours. I went overboard, or it's been 14 hours. I don't worry about that. Just as long as you give your body that break, because we want to have the brain recognize the signal, the frequency on that patch. The brain is going to recognize a signal, and when the brain gets accustomed to that signal, it won't recognize it if you're wearing it all the time. So that's why we encourage you to take a break from it. And so the recommendation is 12 and 12, but it's not like absolutely in stone. If it's 14 hours, it's okay. Just take it off and give your body that break.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We want maximum effectiveness. And who would be best to wear these patches? And is there anyone who shouldn't?
Sure. So anyone can wear them. I like to remind people that if you're patching, somebody that's young, you want to make sure that they're able to communicate with you and tell you, how they're feeling. So generally speaking, we like to have them, speaking. Now, should there be someone like my grandchild who needed to be patched, I certainly would do it and not have concerns about it because nothing is entering the body, but I'd be monitoring them more closely. And of course, anyone all the way to over 100 years old can certainly use those patches and benefit from them. However, there are certain individuals who, for example, have had an organ transplant. With people who have had an organ transplant, they are placed on anti-rejection medications, and those will suppress the immune system. And remember that our stem cell patches are actually going to improve the immune system. So it would be doing the opposite of what they're intending to do, the physicians are intending to do for these organ transplants. As well, there are some alternative physicians who would not agree with what the medical community will say about chemotherapy and taking the chemotherapy medication or drugs, because again, you're suppressing the immune system. But a lot of physicians are sort of shifting and beginning to think that, maybe this is really a really good thing to do while you're on chemo to help support you through the process, because chemo can be very, very damaging. And sometimes people find that using the patches can help them through that. But again, we encourage you to go to your medical provider and listen to what your medical provider wants you to do. It is their recommendations you need to follow.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. That's always a wonderful suggestion when you're doing something new and different. And they may or may not know about it, but I know Dr. Tom likes to say, I've started integrating this new technology and I'd really like you to watch what's happening with me. And if someone has a serious condition, you've got to trust and support and respect your practitioner on what's best for you at that time. Beautiful. Well, how about one more? If someone says, I put the patch on and I really feel not so good. Matter of fact, I have some pain. What do you say to them?
Yay.
That's what I say too. Oh, good, it's working.
Exactly. I love to tell people that, isn't that amazing that you can use this patch and it tells you that there's something that you need to repair or fix, that there's something going on in your body, and the patches kind of give you that information. You may be going through a healing crisis. It may be that you're needing to, maybe your glutathione levels have dropped, and glutathione is a really important master antioxidant as well as a detoxifier. And when you're using the stem cell patch, you're going to increase the glutathione levels in your body. And when that happens, you can start to clear and detoxify, and that can make you not feel good. I mean, I had lower levels of glutathione because I'm going to be 71 this week, Robin.
Happy birthday. Oh my gosh. Yay.
Thank you.
My next birthday is 70.
Oh, 70. You're catching up.
I think we look pretty good, don't you?
I do, and I feel great, So
I know, that's the important part.
That's right. So, when I was initially starting the patches 3 years ago, my glutathione levels were low. I didn't know that at the time, but I used the patches and I had a headache and I felt a little sick to my stomach. Well, that was kind of indication for me. So I had a blood test done to determine whether or not my levels were low, and sure enough, they were. So don't you love it that the patches tell you what's going on? And so, if people go through that, what I say to them is, drink a little bit more water to flush the toxins. If that does not do the trick within a 15-20 minute period, easy, pull the patch off and give your body a break and drink some more water. And maybe you can try back again in a couple of hours to put it back on. And if you still are having the issue, you might want to go even more slowly, wear it for 2 to 4 hours a day, and then take it off for the day. And the next day, do it again and see if you can build up to the 12-hour period. And usually people will, within a 4 to 6 week period, they're back to using it full days. So it works.
That's a great suggestion. So you ready for some questions?
I am.
We have a bunch in here. So let's see. Jennifer said, my face had an allergic reaction to a medication. Now it's red hot rash all over my face, neck, then the ankles and wrists. I have X39, Eon, glutathione, and SP6 to help liver detox. Any recommendations on placement or patches to calm the immune system?
Yeah, well, definitely you want to use your X39. Placement, I mean, I'd use the central areas, right? Either the back of the neck or below your belly button. Hold on.
Got a water break.
That's
I
right.
have electrolytes in my water. That's why it's orange.
I would use the Eon for sure, because you want to calm that inflammation in the body. And Eon is wonderful for inflammation. And you kind of stressed out your system a little bit. So that Eon is going to really be very, very helpful. Where should you place it? You said it's all red hot rash all over the face and neck. So I probably would tend to put it closer to my face. I might even put it, like right in the third eye here. That might be very beneficial. Glutathione, I kind of would hold off a little bit on the glutathione, see if the Eon, the X39 works first, because I'd be a little concerned that, you're going to be toxic from the medication, and it could increase that reaction using the glutathione right away. But if you see in a few days that you're not clear, and you might want to then add the glutathione to move things along.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Stacy, do you have any suggestions for someone that struggles with a neurological problem and a hard time walking and struggles with balance?
Yeah, I do. Remember, always start with the X39, and I would put it in the back of the neck, but I would also use the hat. It's called Hat Protocol. The Hat Protocol, you can find it if you go to liveyoungerproducts.com. and you'll see the hat protocol there. And what you're doing you're putting patches in the hat itself. You're using 2 energy enhancers, a glutathione patch and an Eon patch. And the energy enhancers go on each side here, the tan on the left, the white on the right, the tan in the back, and the white on the front. And then in the hat, you're in the middle, your Eon and glutathione. That really is a powerful way to help with brain balancing, any kind of brain injury, any of those kinds of things. I used it on my mom when she had one of those little mini, I won't say what it is, but brain damage from high blood pressure. When she had that initial one, I used the hat on her at about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and at 8 p.m. that night, she totally cleared. She was having balance issues. She was having trouble. She was holding on to everything. She was confused. She wasn't seeing well. And all of that cleared within a 5-hour period. Now, that doesn't mean that's how it's going to work for whoever you're working with. It can be different for different people, and it can take a little bit longer for different people. But what I have tended to do, especially with my mom initially, was wear the hat for 4 to 5 hours a day. And you can use the hat again for another day or 2, and then put fresh patches on after that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's an amazing protocol. And they have thermography proving that the brain gets the frequencies get synchronized. It's very exciting. So neurologically based illnesses, injuries to the head, mental imbalances. It's really good for a lot of things. And for those of you that don't have any of that, Gregory and I call it our smart hat. And we keep it at our desk and we put it on because it gives, they've tested, it gives the brain frequencies of a 40-year meditator. So calm, focus, clear, really good thing. Okay. The next one mentions a disease state. So I do you want to read it, Anne? Or,
yeah, okay.
From Kristen.
I'm talking about. Okay, that's true.
Okay, so Kristen has a nephew in the Air Force, and he has some symptoms, and she wants to know what to do about them. And I don't want to name the disease. So,
yeah, I suspect that there's going to be some pain with that, because we typically will see a lot of pain with that as well. So yes, X39 and Eon, she said, is that a good suggestion? Yes, it is. both X39 and Eon would be very beneficial. And if there is pain involved, you certainly would want to add Ice Wave, because generally speaking, there is a lot of pain. Although if the pain isn't great, the Eon will take care of that pain pretty nicely and will help reduce some of that inflammation. And also both of those patches are going to help support the immune system. And this is an immune system issue. This is what that's all about, is that the immune system's not doing the job well.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, Zoom user says, my friend has a red bum, only on one side of his body. What can he do?
Wow, use the X39. I mean, I'm telling you, X39 is so wonderful when it comes to skin. And we hear it all the time. People are always talking about either wound healing or skin rashes or issues. And the stem cell X39 patch, it does it all. It really is powerful when it comes. I mean, I think of, I read the book that Lauren Picard wrote about the GHK-Cu peptide. That peptide is activated by our stem cell patch. And when you activate that peptide, and in Lauren Picard's book that he writes, where he writes about the GHK-Cu peptide, he's researched that peptide for 50 years. And he describes skin and skin issues and how valuable it is to activate that peptide and your stem cells. So just imagine what that can do and how that can repair this damage. I would definitely start there.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Anne, do you have any testimonials from anyone who's had, let's see, I think I read the wrong one. Do you have a story about someone that may have been taking pharmaceuticals for pain and was able to find enough relief with X39 to give up the meds?
Yeah, absolutely. We see it all the time. People are on some of those strong narcotics and they don't want to be on them. And we start patching them with the combination for pain is generally the X39, Ice Wave, and Eon. Sometimes glutathione is a piece of that as well, if needed, because if the body is toxic, it may be that the glutathione is going to be needed to reduce the toxic burden on the body. But I always say start with the X39. If you're talking about pain, Ice Wave, and Eon, the three combinations. I see people who all the time are having issues with pain and they get on the patches and 2 to 3 days later, they're like, I forgot to take my meds. I don't need to take them anymore. They're like blown away that their pain has cleared. Yeah, we see that pretty often, quite frankly.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting. Yeah. People loved it. Yeah.
I had a lady tonight, I can tell you about the lady. I had a conversation before the call tonight who was telling me that she had issues with her joints and her bones. They're coming out of the socket everywhere. I mean, her rib bones, they've readjusted her back and she doesn't maintain the adjustments. So she's had a lot of like bone issues over time. And she's been in, a lot of pain and nothing has helped her with the pain. So I walked her on the phone through how to patch. And we got her patching herself and we're on the phone and she's like, I would have bet $1,000 that this wouldn't work. But I'm telling you, I'm better.
I was in Italy last year and there was an elderly gentleman who was having severe pains in his legs and he thought this was snake oil. He didn't believe anything would happen. And I patched him and he said, I knew this wasn't going to work, but it did. It's like, it's so hard to be in a foreign country when all you have to do, when you're walking and you're not comfortable, you can't really enjoy it. So it was wonderful. Okay. What's the best placement for X39?
Well, the clinical studies that were done were clearly done in 2 locations because they have to identify when they're doing a clinical study what placement they're going to be using. So generally speaking, it's on C7 behind the neck and it's 2 fingers below the belly button. Those are the 2 main areas. And, you can alternate them from that position to the lower position, totally, up to you. I tell people some people will say to me, well, I'm getting a little bit of a itchy rash over here. And you got to think about that. These patches are hermetically sealed and they have medical tape around them. And if you're wearing them in the same position every single day, then it's, especially in the hot weather and you're sweating, right? You're not getting any oxygen or air on your skin. And so just move that patch to another location or put it on your clothes. But those are the two, main locations. Anecdotally, you're going to hear people talk about placing X39 on an injury that they have. And they'll tell you that it helped with pain management, it helped with the inflammation, it helped with rapid repair and rapid healing. So, even though the clinical studies weren't done in those locations, we do hear anecdotally some powerful stories.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I know my sponsor, Dr. Nicholas, said, trust your instincts. If it says to put it on your big toe, do it. The beauty of X39 and X49 is they are systemic. And when they're close to your body, they just go, and they go where they're needed. Like you talked about earlier, they have this innate wisdom. So, but those were the spots that were in the clinical trials. So those are good places to use, but you can try other things. You're not going to hurt anything. I love it. Okay. Are there testimonials from anyone that has a condition that makes a person tremor?
Yeah, there are. You can certainly go to YouTube and put in LifeWave and write the condition, and I'm sure you're going to see some testimonials. So, but what I can tell you is that definitely you want to do X39, and glutathione is the one that we see great benefits with anyone that has that kind of a tremor. That's a toxic situation. Usually, people are carrying a pretty heavy load of toxins in the body. It's created some nerve damage. And so we want to start to clear some of the toxins, and glutathione plays a huge role in doing that. And we've seen some people get some great benefits from using those patches. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And tremors are caused from many different things, but we've seen, I've just put a glutathione in someone's hand and the tremor stopped. It's amazing. So try it. Okay, well, now we're on the topic of glutathione. Charmaine says, how is the glutathione patch different from oral glutathione?
Oral or IV glutathione, any one of them. So, when you're taking oral glutathione, you're going to get the benefit maybe for the first hour of taking it, and then don't get the benefit the rest of the day until you take another dose, right? That's the way it works. But here you're wearing a patch and you're wearing it 12 hours. You're getting the benefit of 12 hours of activating your own glutathione or raising your levels of glutathione. And it is activated by 300%. So I want you to think about this. The X39 will raise glutathione by 30%. The patch raises glutathione by 300%. There's nothing out there that will do that orally or even IV. You can get an IV glutathione, and during the time that you're getting the IV, you're getting great benefits. But once they pull that IV out, the half-life is quick. It's gone within 30 minutes. So, you're going to get much better benefits using the patches. And I'm not saying not to use the oral glutathione, and NAC is a great supplement to use as well in combination.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we're going to finish up with Kristen. When I put X39 on my neck, it seems to give a pain that radiates down my arm. I dropped a car trunk on my upper arm years ago. I suspect the stem cells are racing to that area. If I use the patch below my belly button, I don't have the problem. Is it still healing my upper back?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter where you put it, it will heal. And yes, the stem cells will go to the area where there's damage and start the repair. Now, remember, when your body is beginning to repair damage, it's going to produce an inflammatory response in that area. And then the stem cells will go to work repairing that damage. Connie Lucas always shares her story of having a lot of she's a hairdresser. So as a hairdresser, uses her hands a lot, and having a lot of hand discomfort after using the patches, and that over time that all went away. But she was going through what we call a healing crisis, right? The body is repairing that damage, replacing the damaged stem cells with healthier stem cells. And eventually that pain will disappear and go away for sure.
Beautiful. Thank you, my dear. That was
You're
wonderful. And I'm getting ideas of what I can do even better in the future. So we're just getting rolling on this new format. And thank you everyone for your patience as I had a little rough start there. If you're a guest tonight, please get back to the person that invited you, and we invite you to get started. There is no risk. The product does come with a 30-day guarantee. And let's see, if you're just going to use it for yourself, you can be a customer, and we have several customer programs. You can pick what's best for you. And if you're the kind of person that likes to share, we have wonderful different packages that you can get started with, and you can get compensated really nicely for that. So I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We had a nice crowd tonight. Special thank you to Anne. Always a joy to have her with us. And I'll get better on this technology stuff. But thank you, everybody. Good night. Bye-bye.